Welcome, leaders, teams, and those ready to take charge of their energy. It's Kelly Bubolz, your guide in workforce energy management. Burnout is not just a buzzword, it's a symptom of deeper root cause stressors. We're here to stop waiting for the change and start leading it. It's time to reclaim our energy and lead our days with intention and purpose. Let's talk about the future of hybrid work, balancing that flexibility and connection. Now, if you've been listening, if you've been subscribed and following this podcast show, you know I'm a huge advocate for remote work, hybrid work, flexibility work, so we can keep great talent in the workforce when they're trying to juggle it all. But hybrid work is no longer an experiment. It's the norm. But does it energize your team or drain it? And here's where some of the nuances are going to come into play and how we can work through them, because I have some clients that have tried remote work and flexible work and hybrid work, and it wasn't working. So they just went back in office. And it was a complete switch, but there was some opportunities, some different options, different paths within that. So we're going to talk about what the tension and challenges are going on with hybrid work, and then how we can get back to energy-focused strategies so that hybrid work works. This tension is coming from a workforce, employees, team that wants flexibility, right? Flexibility energizes. It gives you autonomy, gives you work-life integration, that balance that people talk about. It reduces commutes. In some parts of the U.S., these commutes can take up a majority of your day, right? What a drainer. But connection is suffering. The lack of casual interactions that you have throughout the day, reading that body language, which is a huge part of communication, the highest part of communication. Slower collaboration, because without that connection, you're assuming, which obviously is poor energy into the team. And you can get feelings of isolation depending on what type of remote work setup you have. And energy is at the risk. Individuals thrive at home, but teams risk this fragmentation, these gaps that are growing. So the challenges come in where we have in-office workers that might get more visibility, which means more promotions, more boss time, more training mentorship that's happening, because that happens naturally when people are around each other. And we have this traditional way where we measure things by visibility. And so that tradition is not yet gone. So you'll often see in-office people get promoted more often than remote workers when you have this hybrid situation. And the communication gaps are growing. So remote staff might miss the side conversations, or if you have a meeting where you have hybrid, both virtual and in-person people, and then the meeting ends, there's conversations happening in the in-person room still after the meeting has ended. But virtually, those people have signed up. They're not part of those side conversations or quick clarifications or next steps that are happening. And this can start to dilute the culture, right? It can start to create this separation between who's present and who isn't. And what does that mean? It can be harder to maintain shared rituals and belonging as these gaps continue to increase. So let's move into energy-focused strategies, because remote work, hybrid work can work. These flexible work arrangements are successful when you put certain strategies in place. The first one I want to talk about is ritualized connection. So that means hybrid all hands. Everyone's involved. Virtual coffee chats. Team kickoff rituals where everyone comes in person. There was a sales team that I worked with last year, and they were all remote, and they were in person for client meetings or maybe regional type of kickoffs. And it was just a great reconnection to get to learn about each other, to see one another, because normally they're always over the phone or video chats. So were they always in person? No. But during their kickoffs, they were. During some of their ritual type of things that they do throughout the day, throughout the year, they were in person. So they got that connection back. And then in between then, they had these virtual chats. They had these human moments during meetings where they could connect. So how do you ritualize connection? What things are you doing on a regular to make sure people are connecting and they're not just signing on to do the task, to give the information for work and signing off? So how are you going to create that human connection? on both sides. And then I want you to equalize visibility. And I think that this will slowly go away as some of the traditional work goes away. But how can you equalize the visibility through your dashboards, right? The metrics you're tracking. So someone might not be in the office right now, but visually you can see the metrics, and not in a babysitting micromanagement way, but in the outcomes we're trying to achieve type of way. So shared dashboards or project systems, project updates accessible to all. So that if I sign on as a leader, even though Joe is sitting next to me and I can see he's working, when I sign on to the dashboard of the project management system, I can see updates. I can see that Cindy's been on since not 7 o'clock, but she's pretty much got her whole day done by noon. I don't care what she's doing throughout her day as long as she's working towards the outcome, as long as that productivity is there. So when you can put your metrics into a system that's very visual, you can equalize that visibility where it's not just in person. The next strategy I want to talk about is structured collaboration. So can you designate anchor days for in-office collaboration? And like I said, it doesn't have to be super frequent, but say you have a shared role, which I've been working on with a current client, that they want the 4-day work week, but they have to cover all 5 days. So what they did is a shared role in which one group is in Monday through Thursday and the other group is in Tuesday through Friday. And then they just switch who's off on a Monday, who's off on a Friday, those type of things. And so that structured type of collaboration anchored days that are in office, which were Wednesdays. They chose Wednesdays to be in office. Everyone's in office. It's a little bit more crowded, but everyone's collaborating. They do their department meeting, and they reconnect there. So in that hybrid situation, they found a way not only to get 4-day work weeks, which are more productive and valuable, but they got that collaboration that everyone wins. So do you have an anchor day? And this can even cross over to those ritualized connections, those kickoffs. When are people going to be in the office, and is it standard and known so that when people are remote or flexible, they can do such things as be remote and flexible? Now, let's talk about team agreements. This goes right into that. Is there an alignment and expectations on response times, on communication norms? For example, if I was remote, I would want focused deep work time. I would want uninterrupted time, because when I'm in office, there's a lot of interruptions and distractions, isn't there? So when I'm at home, I want to do some deep work stuff. I want to get some stuff off my list. So what are the team agreements? When people are remote, do you still want to do meetings? Do you want to leave them to do their remote work? What is the expectation and goals and outcomes we're working on? And is everyone aligned? The more clarity you can bring around this, the less conflict you're going to have, because the team's not going to assume things when they visually can't see them in the office, or vice versa. They don't know what people are doing in the office. Are they just messing around because of all the distractions that happen when you are in person? So what are going to be the team agreements? And clarifying that and frequently bringing that up in department meetings to refresh the expectations is going to increase that trust and communication norms across the team members. And this can look different in your discussions. It doesn't have to be just, let's bring up the expectations of the team again, right? That like corporate, hardcore, strict discussion. It can be, let's do a weekly energy check. Each member shares where they're energized, where they're drained, where we need to reroute for next week. Right? Let's do an energy check-in, because in that you'll see that some people are not meeting expectations or there's misalignment. So there's different ways to ask value-added questions like that to make sure that the team is in agreement. So between ritualizing connection, equalizing that visibility, structured collaboration, team agreements, you can start to see where hybrid work can work as it continues to be the norm, because the future belongs to teams who can balance both freedom and belonging. This week, I want you to audit one of your hybrid practices and ask, does this fuel or drain team energy? Today's step matters. It's in the micro moments that real change begins. Managing your energy isn't about shame, blame, or disrupting your lifestyle. It's about the small, intentional choices to reclaim that natural energy. If this episode hit the mark for you, share with others. This journey doesn't have to be lost and lonely, but exciting and full of new paths. See you back here. to continue the adventure.